Now, a lot of the YouTube people don't have a fucking clue who Vicky is, but a little update, her boyfriend banned me from the room because she was intimidated by a more handsome, a more charming man going in for the kill.
Delusion. Noun. An idiosyncratic belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality. Greetings and welcome there, people of YouTube. This less than charming man seems to have some rather challenged thoughts on atheism. With that, I'll let him start straight off.
There's a couple of people that have been pissing me off that I'm going to make a video on. And then I need your help. Enter the Arena and Manny and Danielson and Fuck Sean's View and then all the supporters of both camps have both been giving me different versions of the story, both telling me to join their side. And I really don't know what to fucking do, man. I don't know. But this video is going to be a burial against atheism. Atheism. Right, the first thing an atheist will say to any Christian is, "Oh, you're a Christian, I'm a free thinker."
Actually, delusion. Noun. An idiosyncratic belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality.
Make a statement that doesn't have a quote from the Bible. And I've done that plenty of times. And do you know what to do? They ignore you. They pick their battles with Christians. I mean, if somebody's a dumb Bible Belt Christian or something like that, they will hop on the bandwagon and all of the atheists will attack that one person. I remember when I used to watch videos in the atheist and Christian community, if one Christian made a video and it was a good video, they'd completely ignore it. If one Christian made a really sucky video, about 50 different atheists will be all cramming in there to leech off that Christian's fame and try to expose him.
Well, I'm responding to your video now, so have I got bad news for you.
And then what happens? The next day everybody watches all those videos and they make their own videos and they regurgitate the nonsense that the other atheists said. It's absolutely pathetic. And then you say Christians aren't free thinkers. You people aren't free thinkers. And do you know what the ironic thing is? You say, "Oh, I don't listen to a God in the sky." But you listen to Richard Dawkins, like Richard Dawkins is your God.
A god, as a god, is an ascribed status. You're either a god or you are not a god. A scientist and a spokesperson is an achieved status. And Dawkins is one of the many great spokespeople for reason, telling us how to think above what to think, to use evidence to back one's claims.
Oh, try to do an argument without quoting from the Bible, and I do it plenty of times. And guess what? I have an argument for you, atheists. Why don't you try to do an argument without quoting without quoting your God, Richard Dawkins, in his books? You can't do it.
Oh, really? Occam's cosmological argument dictates philosophically that God is not the most reasonable solution to the problem of first cause. As well as this, the null hypothesis in science must also be falsifiable, because you cannot falsify the existence of something, but can the non-existence of something. Therefore, the non-existence is the null hypothesis and must be taken until the hypothesis has been proven, therefore falsifying the null hypothesis.
And then you diss the Bible and all of these other books that I bring up. They are scholarly.
They are about as scholarly as Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, or nursery rhymes. The number of contradictions and errors in the Bible is immaculate, almost unbelievable, even by human standards. For example, how insects apparently have 4 legs, the moon is a light, and the sky is a solid dome with stars painted on it.
What you want me to fucking do? That's like trying to ask you to run a race with no fucking legs. You know what I mean? You're fucking retarded. A lot of them I found are actually homosexuals, and I know what they're gonna say. you're hating on homosexuals. I'm not. I'm not going to say a word against hate against homosexuals, but I know for a fact that a lot of these atheists are closet homosexuals, and that's why they're atheists, because they can't stand the fact that homosexuality is a sin. So, yeah, I mean, what's the best thing to do? Reject God.
I know for a fact. Until the moment you supply statistical evidence for this, I challenge this assertion. I am psychologically androgynous myself, yet that was something I found out about after I'd become atheist. It also gives me the full capability to state that you were deluded at the beginning when you were calling yourself attractive.
Atheists are always full of hate, and I don't care what you say. Oh, I'm not full of hate. Yes, you are full of hate. I mean, I go into the room, and if I call myself a Christian, oh my god, fucking 20 people call me a retard, they call me all kinds of horrible names, then they insult Ireland because of Catholicism and stuff, even though, you know, their statistics are like 20 years old. You do know that Ireland is a very fast growing atheist country? Oh, you didn't know that, did you? No, of course you didn't, because you're not a free thinker. You call yourself a free thinker, but you're not. What you do is...
Actually, we do know that atheism is on the grow in the West. It's known as the secularization theory in sociology. Why is this happening? Because we're being publicly active in making it so. What do you think we were doing this for? That we're all just some angry middle-aged losers who keep repeating the same thing with no reason or goal? Please tell me you're not that stupid.
You're a bunch of fucking retarded middle-aged losers that band together talking nonsense. I mean, you say the same thing every time you go live on blog or live on Vaughn or just all atheists in general. They always say the same fucking thing, the same quotes, and then they insult people that quote the Bible. Absolute hypocrisy at its finest.
Yes, because mocking people who believe in a book that orders a raped woman to marry her rapist once he has paid a fine is just as equal as forcing a raped woman to marry her rapist when he has paid a fine.
And you are full of hate. You call me names, you slander me, you defame me, you do all kinds of horrible things to me.
Earlier in this video,
you're a bunch of fucking retarded middle-aged losers that band together talking nonsense.
You really don't need much explaining, boy.
And then guess what happens when you outsmart them? When it's me against 30 atheists, 50 atheists, 100 atheists, and I always win, guess what they say then? Guess what they say? Oh, he's a troll. And then they ban me or they ignore me completely. And why did they do that? It's not because I'm a troll. It's because I outsmarted them. These atheists are not on my level. And I challenge you atheists, you know what? Why don't you unban me from all your shitty rooms? Or why don't you add me on Skype?
Here you are. You know what to do. I'm free any day this week except for Saturday, where I've got another show with Godless Glenn.
I've told them that I'll debate them about this on Skype. You know what they did? Completely ignored me and just went back to hating on me. Isn't that ironic? A lot of these atheists also celebrate Christmas. What? Christmas?
Yule, solstice, pagan, holiday, presents, Thor, tree, fuck all to do with the Bible, stolen by Christians, history, bitch, learn it.
I have yet to come across an atheist that does not celebrate Christmas.
I would say that I've not yet come across a Christian who does not celebrate a pagan holiday, but then I remembered, Jehovah's Witnesses, why don't they celebrate Christmas? Because they know it's a pagan holiday.
Christmas. And I know what's going to happen now. I'm going to get loads of comments saying, oh, I'm an atheist and I don't celebrate Christmas. I bet you do. I bet you do. I bet you do. And then there's this other excuse that they use. Oh, I celebrate Christmas because my family does. Even though a lot of these people are lonely, loser virgins that live on their own. So what do you do? Let me guess. You huddle up beside the Christmas tree with the Jesus that you reject. And you open your presents by your lonesome. Open your little Gillette razor blades. And you're like, thank you, Richard Dawkins, for putting these Christmas presents underneath my Christmas tree. I mean, what the fuck is your problem?
Just in case you didn't know, Santa Claus is not real. And Richard Dawkins is actually a far more likely candidate than Santa Claus, or God, or Jesus, or Allah, or Thor, or Odin, or Zeus, or Flying Spaghetti Monster, or Morgan Freeman. Actually, wait, no, scratch that last one.
What is your problem? You're an absolute retard. Oh, that book is a book of hate. No, it isn't. That book is a book of violence. There's violence all over the world. Why don't you sort that out before this is a book about violence? I mean, let me guess. I bet you read thrillers that are really violent. I bet you watch violent TV. Why don't you talk about that? You won't, because you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite.
No, because nobody claims to live their lives by that book. However, billions say they live by the Bible. That's the fucking issue.
And there's another thing that I've noticed. They're jealous of my handsome young looks. I mean, a lot of these atheists are old and decrepit, and they don't look very appealing to the eye. And that's why. I know what it's like. They're like, oh, God, blessed. Oh, God's not real. If God was real, he would have given me a more handsome face. I am living proof that God is real just in myself. I mean, look at me. I'm charming, I'm handsome, I'm honest, I'm modest, I'm kind of charismatic. I have all the qualities of not... Well, of God himself. Of God himself. Not on the same level. I'm not comparing myself to God. But what I'm saying is, he knows. He knows that I'm right. And you're just mad because maybe you were born with a small dick and an ugly face. God can't be real. Rejecting God because I'm so ugly and stupid.
Delusion. Noun. An idiosyncratic belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality.
And another thing, right? They say that Christians are blind followers. No. Atheists are blind followers. I mean, they always talk about like they're a minority and like they're victims of society. You're not victims of society. You're victimizing everybody else. And you trample on us and you defame us, you vilify us and you ostracize us. And what, you're the victims? Get the fuck out of here, you hypocritical cunts.
You truly have no sense of reality, and I suggest you watch the video linked down below, Anything But Atheist. It's an eye-opener to morons such as yourself.
What is it to do? So I'm getting worked up here because I'm passionate. I'm passionate about this. Ugh. I have to lose my train of thought now. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, I remember what I was saying. It's a common trend with teenagers, age like 13 to like the rest of their life. It's like, oh, God isn't real. That's so 1900s, dude. Oh my God, people still worship a fictional God? Like, oh my God. Yeah, teenagers, all they do is rebel against society. Ugh, fuck the mainstream. Hipsters for the win. You know what I mean? And they rebel against their parents' authority, so it's only natural that they're going to rebel against God, because that's the ultimate act of rebellion.
Dude, you're a chav, a pikey. You want to talk to us about how we're rebelling. Also, this is self-contradictory to what you stated earlier about all atheists being middle-aged losers, for example, Richard Dawkins. Don't you see the problem there?
But you don't talk about that, do you, atheists? You never talk about that. You know why? Because it exposes you. And I have just exposed you. I've done the Lord's work, and I have exposed all of you hypocritical atheists. I've exposed you.
Delusion. Noun. An idiosyncratic belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality.
Goodbye for now. And you know what? Oh, he's a troll. No, I'm not a troll. You can't counter anything that I said. So you're just going to call me a troll. I know how it is. I can see the answers already. Oh yeah, and I know what else you're going to say. You're going to call me names like ugly or something. You're going to say, oh, he calls himself handsome, flagged and disliked. But you will not answer my points. You'll go to ad hominem attacks. I know what you atheists are like. I won.
Only reason I've gone to call you ugly is, first of all, I'm bound by factual objectivity, Secondly, you lowered the standard to that. But thirdly, I also dealt with everything you've stated along the side. The insults just kept me going through your idiocy. So yes, thank you all for watching. This is...
Alright, I just seen one of Irish Patriot's videos on atheism where he was doing a shoot on atheism, and I decided I was going to go ahead and chime in with some of my own stuff, you know, and support his reasoning behind it.
Another one? Really? I'm gonna have to do this one as well? Damn it.
I seen that he got a lot of dislikes, so I wanted to go over here. I wanted to go over a few notes and do my own little shoot. Alright. First off, Charles Darwin obtained the idea for atheism.
Atheism existed a long time before Charles Darwin. You know, atheism and evolution are not the same thing. Yes, it's correct that most atheist skeptics accept evolution. However, atheism is merely a lack of belief in God. Period.
Basically through his grandfather, Erasmus. It turned out that Erasmus, he was really influenced by this guy named John Locke. Now, John Locke had gotten the idea through the Hindu teachings in India. Whenever the East India Trading Company brought him back to Britain, he kind of just tweaked him a little bit and formulated his own ideas. Thus, you know, this is basically where the concept came from, was actually from the Hindu religion. That's where atheists really probably owe a lot of their beliefs to, is actually through the Hindu religion of reincarnation.
It is very true that ideas can influence one another. Evolution does just mean change over a period of time. Darwin's theory was known as, and still is, evolution through the process of natural selection. Whether or not your claims are true, there were a number of ideas bouncing around at the time. We've known about this and his father for a long time. Here's a video from the 70s. You may know the presenter.
The differences that Darwin had noticed amongst these Galapagos animals were, of course, all tiny. But if they could develop, wasn't it possible that over the thousands or millions of years, a whole series of such differences might add up to one revolutionary change? Was it not possible, perhaps, that in the past amphibians had developed watertight skins and so turned into reptiles? Or that a lizard-like reptile had developed a feathery kind of scale and so become a bird? And even that man himself might be descended from a group of tree-swinging apes. In truth, the idea was not a new one. Other people before Darwin had suggested that all life on Earth might have a common ancestry. But Darwin went further. He gave the idea irresistible force by suggesting a mechanism which might have brought that about. He called the mechanism natural selection. Put briefly, his argument was this: individuals of the same species are not absolutely identical. Some of these giant tortoise hatchlings may have from birth slightly longer necks than others. In times of drought, they will be able to reach leaves and live, while the shorter-necked ones die. So those best fitted for the environment will transmit their characteristics to their offspring. After countless generations, the tortoises on arid islands will have longer necks than those on well-watered ones. And so one species will have given rise to another.
So they go on then, and the, spontaneous generation was suggested as an alternative basically to, an intelligent design, a godlike figure.
Did you just say spontaneous generation, aka a biogenesis, a completely different field of biology to evolution that has no direct link? You think atheism is evolution, and that evolution is a biogenesis? Do you actually know what you're talking about?
creating, the universe. It was basically put out there, you know, I guess a little bit through, it probably was, a lot of the stuff took off with The Origin of the Species by Charles Darwin. That's really where evolution and stuff like that took off. But there was only two possibilities now. Either life was created through spontaneous generation, or it was created through intelligent design, through a guide. There's no third answer right there. Spontaneous generation was disproven 120 years ago by Louis Pasteur and other scientists.
You support my fears. You have zero idea what on earth you are talking about. It is true. Louis Pasteur showed that bacterium could not spontaneously generate through abiogenesis in pure water. But that is the sign of your major straw man. We don't believe life started with RNA in pure water, but a primordial ooze. We also have the devices and techniques Pasteur did not, and I'd urge you to check a video called The Line Between Life and Not Life, in which simple chemicals perform respiration, movement, and even multiplication. Links will be below. Again, this is all abiogenesis and has nothing to do with Darwin's theory. There are those who argue that the first life form was created by God and then evolved through natural selection. A third option that you're trying to pretend doesn't exist.
So, therefore, there's only one answer, of how life came about, and that's through God. But scientists, and pretty much really even most of the world, your public school systems and stuff like that, still foolishly press on and try to go make up placebos, basically, is what I call them. They give you a lot of placebos. But,
if you're so much superior to them, why don't you go and prove that and pick up your award? Because currently, all you are doing is directly lying about what science has shown.
They foolishly press on trying to disprove God. At some point, it's no longer science, it's scientism, the worship of science. And that's basically what you're going through. And I'm going to go ahead and touch on some more points here that I have written down. A lot of this stuff has started with a lot of the old school guys. Like I said, Plato was one of the ones. He's also the guy that invented the Republic. So you think about that for a little while. But this was basically what his suggestion was. Which, like I said, Plato is the guy who comes up with a lot of this stuff. And it's where a lot of stuff actually originates from that your whole culture believes in today. This is one of Plato's suggestions. That's why I bring him up. It was suggested that people who have pure genetic materials should be encouraged to breed amongst themselves to produce a superior race fit to rule over the masses. This is from him. Basically, inbreeding. Basically, that's where you get a lot of, it's called genetics, and that's what a lot of the traditional atheists believe in. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say, if you don't believe in God, then you're going to go ahead and, you believe in inbreeding. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the belief, if you're a true atheist and other than the fact of you just don't want to believe in God, which, like I said, I don't really care. But, true atheists believe that there is a superior bloodline and that, you can obtain godhood through basically inbreeding.
What a load of incompetent, moronic toss. Atheism is merely the lack of belief in a deity. As for your claims, because one person was great in one thing does not mean the same for everything they do. Take Newton, for example. He was both an alchemist and a Christian. Two mess-ups on his behalf, yet that does not change his understanding of gravity. you are at best either severely misinformed, but more likely, thanks to the archive of knowledge we all have access to, a direct liar attempting a no true Scotsman fallacy that isn't even vaguely sound.
It, this was popularized by a guy named Francis Galton. He's the one that popularized it as a science, even though the royal bloodlines, where they would betroth people and stuff like that, they were already practicing, pretty much the bloodlines and whatnot, kind of inbreeding amongst themselves. So, the atheists, that's one thing that I hear a lot. You even watch, what's the name of that popular show? The Big Bang Theory. They come out and they try to make it seem like the Christians, they're just inbred dumb hicks and blah, 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 blah. But really, if they would have listened to Leviticus, chapter 18, then you would realize that, the Bible is actually against inbreeding.
Except for Eve and her 2 sons, and Lot and his 2 daughters. But we'll just sweep that under the rug.
So we'll go on, you know what I'm saying? Charles Darwin, it didn't really work out well for Charles Darwin, because Charles Darwin definitely believed, and he's one of the most revered, intelligent thinkers by the atheists. That's like their, Jesus pretty much to them. But it didn't really work out because he tried, basically he wanted a pure genetic bloodline. So he actually married the youngest daughter of his maternal father.
False. Darwin did not uphold social Darwinism, even though the likes of Hofstadter and Herbert Spencer took his name for the topic. As for marrying his cousin, it was a little time known as the 1800s, and it was not an uncommon practice. Darwin is a man in a society with different social norms and values to today. He's not a prophet with a hotline to an objective God. At least it wasn't child-to-parent sexual intercourse like in the Bible. Lastly, inbreeding is detrimental to evolution, as it's not survival through being the most adapted, but most adaptable to change. This has led to us developing impulses that actually make us more repulsed to the body odor of people who share the same genetic material as us in comparison to those with more varied genes. A video on that aspect of evolutionary psychology will be below. One reason for this is people with different genetic material are more likely to be immune to different viruses that we are. Put them together, you have a wider spread of viruses that you will be immune to, thus increasing the chances of survival.
So, anyways, I'm going to go through the list right here and tell you exactly how well it worked out for Charles Darwin. All right. In his case, it turned out to be a complete disaster. One daughter, a girl named Mary, died shortly after birth. That's not saying anything. Another girl, Anne, died at the age of 10. His eldest daughter, Henrietta, had a prolonged mental breakdown at the age of 15. 3 of his 6 sons were so sickly that he considered them semi-invalids. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't really do anything, couldn't take them out or anything. His last son, Charles Jr., was born mentally retarded and died at 6 months. And like I said, all this could have been avoided if they would have just looked in the Bible.
You are by far one of the thickest fucks I have ever known on this planet. I won't be explaining how inbreeding is detrimental to evolution again. However, the fact that you attempt to target this and play off the subjunctive course of history is messed up. The Bible has so many cases of inbreeding, from Adam and Eve, Abraham and his wife, Lot and his daughters, and finally the crown, Mary and Joseph, which, by the way, means Jesus is inbred until you can give me evidence of an immaculate conception.
A lot of the science that you've noticed, that comes out that is semi-provable, right, is stuff like, like they come out with stuff like sound that creates matter. That's in the Bible. It said God spoke and then the universe, popped into existence pretty much. The earth was, all that stuff came because God spoke. Says it in the Bible. So you're not telling us anything new. It also, they come out with stuff like, man was formed from primordial clay. Well, it said that God scooped us out from basically the dirt, clay, whatever you want to call it, from the earth. So, I mean, even whenever they try to disprove the Bible, they usually end up proving it.
Retrofitting asshole of the year. No understanding of science, 'cause that's too hard.
More. There's just, you could go on and on and on about the mistakes. I mean, all this stuff, you see where society is today. Would you really say that really I would hope that we're not at the peak of existence, and I would hope that we were probably not at the peak of existence during this whole time that we've been on this planet. Basically, like I said, they take a lot of stuff and they twist it. Atheists do. They take a lot of false informations. They really take a lot of stuff that's wrong with probably their beliefs, and then throw it on other people. And so, as far as that, I'm like I said, there's just no way I could ever, believe that, all of a sudden, for some reason that, nothing was nothing, and then all of a sudden nothing exploded and created everything, and a whole bunch of everything gathered together and, created, molecules, and then somehow created the dinosaurs. And
I'm sorry, we may as well just show the meme that you're reading off of, because we've known this one for a long time. It's been dealt with in 100 different ways, and it is one big fat fucking straw man, based on your ignorance. We've dealt with this 100 different ways. And not only that, your entire video was all in itself based on ignorance as well. You do not understand what evolution is, you do not understand what atheism is, and you do not understand what abiogenesis is. You think all three are the same bloody thing when they're not. Atheism is a lack of belief in God. Evolution, through natural selection, is a process that got us from point A to point B, i.e. one common ancestor to special diversity. And then abiogenesis is the spontaneous life. So yes, I'm sorry for the long video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please don't forget to subscribe as well. Check out the Atheist Hub. This is Essence of Thought. Out.